Gail of Gaia and Free Range need your support. The foundation of any channel engaged in disclosure is the support of the listening audience and the intel it receives. You will not find this kind of information on the lamestream media. We abhor censorship, and sponsors always have an agenda. Your donations, no matter how small, are especially needed and appreciated to keep this going. Gail does not have a car. She gets around on her bicycle to get things done. So, her primary need right now is a car that runs and rolls. Nothing fancy, just basic transportation. Gail makes her living by doing temporary jobs, whatever jobs she can find that are close enough to get to on her bicycle. Temperatures in Phoenix right now are around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. One of her better paying temp jobs fell through just last week. These are hard times for the host of Free Range. Any donation, no matter how small, will be greatly appreciated and will keep Free Range rolling. Thank you. Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Uh-oh, we're started. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on all kinds of wild ideas. And I've got Drake Bailey on the line, and we're ready to rock and roll. Hi, Drake. How's it going?
Good. You?
I'm great. I just got back from a little jaunt, and I'm ready to go. How about you? Do you want to give us a galactic update or a geopolitical update?
I'm going to give them a political update. Well, it's not actually political. It's more like legal. Remember that thing that was going around Facebook that had William Barr giving somebody a sideways look and pointing his finger and saying, "I'm coming after every damn one of you"?
Yes, I remember that.
Well, guess what? He is.
Good.
Yes, right now. You're liable to hear a whole load of names, household names like Clinton or something of that nature, be taken away to the cooler. So I'm waiting to see what he does and how much he does. I'd like to see the whole 9 yards go, but can't tell. As far as galactic updates, well, I keep hearing horse hockey from people like Kent Dunn and others that don't know what's going on, would like to say that they are connected. The only problem is they're not connected to the right timeline, and they can't tell the difference. Consequently, a lot of what they put out is bogus. Sorry about that, Kent. When you learn how to differentiate timelines, we could probably do a lot. But in the meantime, back at the solar panel, we have a lot of things that are going on upstairs that are complementing what we're doing down here. In other words, the preparation, everybody's hollering, "Ooh, the RV, ooh, the RV." Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? No such critter. It don't exist. Horse hockey, fake news, false stuff, whatever you want to call it. Look at the GCR. That is the driver of the full reset. It's the global currency reset. In other words, the valuation of a dollar may change drastically, along with wands and yens and all these others, when the actual valuation is put together in basket form. You include the money. You include assets, all of them. You include the capability of the people. You include the good standing of the state you're talking about, if it has an individual currency. Basket. That's kind of like making an omelet. You got to break eggs and mix it up and all that. Well, the thing about this is that this is going to be permanent. It will eventually be global. And it leads directly to a cashless society. In other words, you're going to have a certain valuation. You've heard about the sale of your birth certificate. Well,
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, but same. The valuation of the individual is somewhere in the neighborhood, starts somewhere in the neighborhood as an infant, around 2 to 5 mil. When you have matured and are starting on whatever career path or what you're going to do comes about, that adjusts, generally upwards, generally in multiples. Average person that is decent at what they do and are not willing to be included by other people in things that they disagree with have the highest values. And this could be anywhere up to 100 billion.
Okay? Oh my goodness, that's
wow.
Wow.
There are a lot of things called trading platforms. Go find one. See how well you can figure out the manner in which it takes to prove that they exist. It's hard to do. Okay, these trading platforms that they use on this are auxiliary to at least one layer, if not up to 3 or 4 layers of investments. Okay, and these investments, they bring in other things that cloud up the water. They get it to where you can't see. Then they hit the smoke machine and remove all doubt. You got no idea, and this is neat. Credit fault swaps, them fun and games things that somebody made up because they couldn't make money the normal way. They have had some of the finest scientific and legal and financial minds look at these things and they can't figure out what they are, whether they even really exist. So credit default swaps, right. Then you have these bogus imaginary things such as the carbon tax. Everybody's trying to initiate that, and it is not going to happen for the simple fact that nobody can come up with the initial payment in terms of that. Why? Well, think about giving 50 grand to everybody in this country, kids included. Think about the kind of mess you're going to have in trying to borrow that much money. You could take all of those capable of loaning any kind of humongous amounts. You take all of China, Russia, Japan, Indonesia, everybody, okay? Lump them all in one thing. Add the IMF, International Bank, the World Bank, the International Bank, all of it together won't cover the smallest country. Remember that, will not cover the smallest country in terms of what the initial payment is. Therefore, the politicians want their small, what is this? You hear that static?
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what it is either. Huh. Well, I don't care, honestly. Let the wind blow and all that. The thing that I'm looking at is that the problem comes then down to if a carbon tax was initiated in a country, doesn't matter what country, each and every politician that helped get it there gets a little baggie of cash. That's their down payment against the full payment of what they're supposed to get, which they will never receive. This is like the free stuff that was promised by the Obama administration from the get-go. You know how many phones he got out there? Less than 800.
Is that right?
Yeah, how many people could use a phone? A free phone from the government. Well, apparently this kind of free government stuff, somebody wasn't too interested in, so they didn't go downtown to get any. It's not difficult when you get to, okay. So we have a serious problem, and it is called usurpation. And usurpation can contain several things. In this particular instance, it contains a bunch of them. The so-called red flag laws that these podunks are pushing suck canal water. If you want to start the second Civil War, go start confiscating guns and watch what happens to you. You're going to get perforated. The problem is that one, and we didn't learn anything from the FISA court. We didn't learn anything from that secret court and the secret adjudications and the warrants and all that. We don't learn anything. So what they want to do is create secret court number 2. Think about this very carefully. The idea is this. Somebody has a complaint. They don't like the way you comb your hair. They don't like the way the noise you make when you drop the can of garbage by the curb to be picked up, or whatever it is. Then they will come. They can go to it before a judge and swear to God, he's waving a gun around. He's being dangerous. Okay. Or he's shooting squirrels in the yard. Wonder when he's going to shoot me next. The judge will look at the guy and he says, are you a squirrel? Anyway, these things don't happen in reality. So this person goes and complains. If they have any kind of capability to cause it to look valid, then the judge's ruling can be, not is, but can be. Judge has to rule on this. Remember, secret court, secret judge. You go before him, raise hell, whatever you got to do. That judge, in turn, can issue a seizure warrant for your guns because you're dangerous. Ooh. Which does one thing. It gives a SWAT team validation to come break into your home and take by force all of your guns. We just lose a few little things there. One of those is self-defense. You got the right to self-defense. Okay, now, everybody's heard of a no-knock warrant. That means that they can have a warrant with them, and what they do is they sneak up on your house and get ready, set, and break in. They're not required to announce themselves as police or anything else. So each individual that might experience or would experience said trashing of your constitutional rights, you have, whenever an armed individual enters your house without showing cause, or that they're a policeman or whatever, you got the right to blow them off the porch. Think about that very carefully. You got a right to kill all of them. You got the right to come up the stairs to get to your place. Period. This has already been through the Supreme Court on a little bit different deal. Oh, knock-knock warrants are legal. No, they ain't. Number 2, 99% of these things, whether they're no-knock or what, a warrant is required to have a truth affidavit. In other words, people swearing to the fact that you are a danger to yourself or others, or whatever the case may be. You've been waving a gun in the backyard, okay, or whatever. The second affidavit that they have to have is the reference to the legal authorization to enter your home. Now, you have to have first a search warrant. That's first. That's one part of it that I've covered. Number 2, a specific, you can't have a blanket open warrant for confiscation of something. Now, if they say this computer or that computer, yeah, okay, you got a warrant to take it, fine, take it. But the warrant for that has the same requirements as the search warrant that allows the entry. So you got the seizure warrant. Number 3, neither of the 2 aforementioned warrants can be modified in any way. You may not add items, you may not subtract items, and you may not change things to something else. Number 4, and this is the biggie. When a search warrant is executed, that means the police got it in hand and there's a bunch of them out there getting ready to go through your house and check your play proctologist in your underwear drawer. Ooh, look at this, whatever they're doing. They are required to go, police, search warrant. They're required. This is not a question of ask. There is no valid warrant served that is a no-knock, no announcement warrant. Doesn't work that way. A policeman who witnesses a felony can take a person into custody for whom, according to the crime, at the time of the cops grabbing this person, be issued. That warrant can be issued. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. Somebody's choking granny. They ought to be. I can think of some things to do to them, but the cop can at least take them into custody. You lose the right. Now, backing up, when you're not allowed to meet your accuser in court and cross-examine that dink, whoever it may be, that is the loss of your due process rights, period. Secondly, we didn't learn nothing from the FISA courts. We're going to create another court. Now we got a secondary court, and it's arbitrarily picked. The courts are arbitrarily picked as to which one does this. I've heard some of the police are kind of antsy and excited and want to try out their very new SWAT team program. And okay, I've also heard that there's a whole lot of cops that say, that ain't right. I agree with the ones that say it ain't right. For the simple fact that we obviously didn't learn anything. Everything that was done through the FISA court with the concerns to wiretapping or spying on the Trump campaign was illegal. Barr said he's got him by the whatevers, and he's going to start pulling real soon, squeezing. He's going to give him a real serious, painful problem on a legal basis. Okay, so that's where my thing about the red flag comes in that I disagree with. It's horse hockey. The third part of this is that they refuse to make this into a true red flag legislation. What that does is it takes care of the problems I've mentioned. If you get to go to court, what are you out of your mind? I never waved a gun in your face. You got a video or something to prove that? Or is this just some kind of off-the-wall accusation to try to take my guns? That's the, okay. You have the, and you have the right to appeal the ruling of the judge. Ooh, that could take a long time, okay? But the main gist of this is nobody has the guts, political potential or capabilities, strength of character, or anything else that deals with the real opportunity here. Everybody knows, and I'm sure everybody that listens to this knows about being tracked by Google and Facebook and advertisers and this and that. So you look up pantyhose one day and you got 50 ads popping up. Well, or, whatever it is. Okay.
Exactly.
That means, now listen to this very carefully. That means they have the capability to also leave a channel and kill them all channels, leave them up, leave them running. Why? Well, you get a really nice list of everybody on there. That's first. Number two, and this is the neat part, each and every last one of these cases that I've listened to or heard about, they post something online about it or have been posting online about, ooh, let the blood and guts roll. I got an AR-15 and a 100-round magazine, and I'm going to go and shoot everybody. Okay, well, if they can red flag somebody for acting stupid in terms of what I've described, what about these dinks? How do you follow somebody? Well, you can find out what vehicles they have available. That's first. You get the license plate. Number two, anybody, and this ought to be a part of this red flag law, anybody who knows about it is required to report it or be named as an accessory. Now, you want to really add some sting and stink to it? Make law enforcement obligated to listen. Make law enforcement obligated to check it. Yeah, that guy has been on there. Okay. Maybe he is a nutcase. Carry these red flagged individuals under a watch program. All you got to do is watch them. They go online, little thing goes stink, just like Facebook and everybody else. Okay. Google, Facebook,
Twitter,
any of them. All right. They all have the capability of finding out about you, flagging you, putting a marker on you, or whatever. If you leave 8channel and and Gab and places like that open, you don't screw with them. Leave them open. You can get the name, phone number, color, what clothes they like to wear, cars available to them, guns available to them, friends that might buy something for them, like that guy did. Well, I got the 100-round magazine and body armor. Kept it in my house so his parents wouldn't find out. Why? Well, his parents had already said, the boy's got some problems. I think somebody needs to tighten up a screw or two because they're loose, obviously, and he's missing a couple sandwiches in terms of being shy of lunch. Well, when you have this kind of thing, now, these guys don't got the guts, I don't think, but they got the guts to come take guns, then they should have the guts to simply anybody that does not take proactive action for prevention into being an accomplice, an accessory, either before and or after the fact. If you're an accessory to murder, that ain't small stuff. That's 2 to 15 most places. So most people see something, say something, and then in a lot of communities, you can't be a snitch. Want to bet? You can be a snitch. Depends on what you're doing. If you're protecting somebody's kids, somebody's grandma, that's different than snitching on somebody because they just got a pound of cocaine delivered in the mail or whatever. I mean, there is a big difference. You could also inform on the cocaine, that's up to you. But in these cases, people who have done anything wrong, have no connection to the perpetrator, get sliced and diced for no good reason. So,
well, it seems like these secret things are a big part of the problem.
They are. They're also a basis for which the deep state operates on.
Yeah.
Here comes that freight train again. I hear it. It's coming.
Oh, I know. Are you hungry?
I'm in a very rare mood.
Okay. Did you have any other, that was very much of a geopolitical update. What about anything galactic?
Well, the new moon's in place, and preparations are being made for the transition on a big time basis. In other words, we're getting cargo ships, huge cargo ships in play. Well, how are you going to take care of several billion people who all have some kind of a need? How many care packages does that take, and how big or small, or So
those kind of cargo ships up there.
Yeah, the big boys. Okay. Now we do have a problem, and it's geopolitical, and I'm waiting for somebody to grow a pair. Quite simply, the Iranian tanker that was captured has been set free. U.S. tried to hold it and could not get it done. That thing is now in international waters. Okay, it is set to rendezvous with a Syrian tanker and unload its content onto that Syrian tanker, which would then go to Syria. Iran is not supposed to be selling oil to Syria. Well, there's an easy way to fix that. These people think it's fun to play games. Well, maybe if the United States had a backbone, yeah, and the guts of some of the people I know that are veterans of combat maybe we could set up some boats outside of the port where this ship would have to go and tell it no. You may not enter. You may not pass. Guess what? Try to do so, we open fire. Choose. Now, what the hell is that Syrian boat going to do? Oh, the ambassador is going to have a baby. Well, good. I hope he don't make too much of a mess. The problem that has come about is the same one that we got right here in the States. It's a neat little word called enforcement. Iran can't do this, but they can illegally exchange the cargo from one boat to another, and that boat then is legal to go to where the oil was not supposed to go. Well, offer them a choice. Very simple choice. Anchor out in the ocean, in the international waters, outside of the national waters of Syria. Anchor out there and be prepared to stay long term because we ain't letting you in. Number two, and nobody has done this yet either. Nobody has told Iran to cut the crap. They keep seizing boats, and nobody seems to care that they're interrupting the one of the main travel places for oil. Well, people need oil presently. When is somebody going to offer them a deal? Cut the crap, or we're going to start bombing your ports. Let's sink their friggin' ports. Think about that. It's going to be real difficult to put oil on a tanker if there isn't any dock to tie up to. Think of, you got to consider the realities. Ooh, that would start World War III. Well, fine. If that little podunk banana republic thinks it can take on the United States, well, sorry about your stuff. You're going. How long can you tread water? It's pretty simple. So that when we start enforcing things here better, it will improve. Now, just so you'll know, Barr, the Attorney General's office, and a load of people from varying levels of the big pharma companies are being adjudicated as we speak. Several have been arrested and put in jail already, and they're coming after the rest of all you turkey butts out there that think it's funny to get people relying on your cute little pill. 750,000 pills of Oxycontin sent to good old West Virginia, where I live. That's close to the population. And there's a lot of hillbillies don't even know what that is. They be drinking moonshine out behind the barn or something, but they Anyway, so a lot of that has come to the attention of people who can do something about it. And it is being affected. Now, two companies in Ohio just made a deal for $10 million. They paid their fine, and supposedly they're out of being adjudicated. I'm sorry, but I think there's probably other things that they can be adjudicated on. Oh man, I thought we settled this. You did. You settled that one, not this one.
We're just getting started, right?
I mean, when a company sells fentanyl, that's it's killer. It's 10 times what it's at least 5 times decent fentanyl. There's nothing decent about it. Quality fentanyl is 5 times what Oxycontin is, 10 times what heroin is in terms of addictivity. So, well.
So what's the purpose of it in the first place? I mean, it's really not needed or necessary.
Well, it is a painkiller. God love it.
There are other painkillers that aren't as addictive.
I prefer the one I used in Vietnam than opium is predictable. You know what it'll do. You know what the dosage should be. You can use it topically or internally and give it as a shot if somebody's really got problems or whatever. I was a medic now, and if you got something that's affecting your skin, it's extremely painful, you can take a hypodermic needle fill it with the stuff, and spray it, and it kills all the paint. Like you get burnt, kills all the paint.
Yeah,
So
burns are nasty.
well, it keeps that person from freaking out in terms of the pain or your system, or instead of having a permanent heart palpitation or the big one or whatever, it prevents that sort of distress. When they get them back to a hospital, they can take care of the rest of it. But yeah, well, that's fentanyl can be used that way. But like I say, I prefer opium because it's not as powerful. You can dilute it, and it's very easy to control the effects. You don't give it long term, you don't get addicted. Fentanyl might kill you the first time around or addict you the first time around, first time you ever use it.
Well, the sad part of this is I'm inclined to believe that one of the reasons it was produced in the first place was because of its addictive nature. I happen to know, just from my own background as a nutritionist, knowing someone whose husband was a food scientist, where they were having him produce substances that could be added to food that would make the food addictive. So we're dealing with some very nefarious
bad guys,
corporations, that have, certainly don't have people's best interests in mind. The only thing that they have in mind is their pocket.
They might be creeping up on you. Watch them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's probably the main reason that drug was created.
So anyway, there's a lot that goes into this. The complexity of taking care of the world population is keeping ET real busy. I guarantee you. They're trying to figure out exactly the approach necessary in order to cause these people to accept the care packages without shooting at them.
I know.
You come down and I'm being nice, here's your care package, and the guy opens up with a 12 gauge. Well, hey man, we don't need that. You don't need the care package either. See you. Howdy, beam me up and hurry up about it.
Well, we kind of have a reputation for being rather reactive.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Questions?
I sure do.
A nice big load of them, I bet.
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay, now, if we have something that we've already answered, I'll try to pass over it. But sometimes people need to hear it again anyway. It doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the first one. And this is the takeoff from last week's, actually. How will we get our DNA reset? Will we individually go up to a healing chamber, or will it become automatic when we get to 4D? And what other physical changes can we expect? Will we be taller? Will we be thinner?
No, you're not gonna. Oh boy. A lot of the reset takes place because of the reset. Okay. The second part of that is that the people that would be taken to a biosphere or some other special place has some form of really serious problem. Somebody screwed with them really badly. Some people, okay, and this is not all of them, will have to go to very specialized treatment centers in order to regrow, say, an arm or a hand or something they've lost or never developed. Either way. And that's the only limitations that I'm aware of.
Would they do that here on this planet, or would it be up on a ship? Or
they might do it here, they might do it upstairs. It would depend on how much control they need to effectively get to where they're going.
Okay, now I know you've said this before that
that's amazing.
There goes that train again. Let's see, I forgot my train of thought there. We were going to the med beds, okay? That's a whole different healing.
Med beds are a huge concept of it.
Okay.
The healing capabilities of the biospheres is quite another. They're way in advance of the med beds. Med beds will be similar to what will be become, and this is something that you really need to look at, would be to something that will be carried out on a computer base. You've heard of healing computers. Well, this is primarily what that will be on the surface. Now, those healing computers have limitations. Whether anybody would like to tell you that or not doesn't matter. What matters is what they accomplish. They can only accomplish so much. Therefore, if you seem to have something that's, I don't know, more intense, or needs more of a healing base than can be supplied by the healing computers, you get a trip upstairs. Pretty simple.
Okay. Now and this reset or transition, all of this is supposed to happen within this year.
Yep.
So people that are concerned about the time frame, am I going to get healed or am I going to die before I get healed, kind of thing, is not an issue.
Fasten your seatbelt and hope for the best.
Okay.
If your office chair does not have a seatbelt, you can get these these straps that crank. Click, 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 click. You can tighten stuff right down. That don't mean you won't be rolling around the room or on the ceiling or something.
Okay, here's another question that relates to if there is a true or false statement. High levels of gamma radiation from New York up East Coast to Canada are being associated with suitcase nukes. Is that true or false?
That's false. We removed about 99% of all of the what they call mini nukes, whether it's suitcase size, that's the old-fashioned one, or golf ball size, which is the newest one. When I say 99%, there's 1% of them left. We tried to make sure that there were none left at any of the critical points of commerce where you have a lot of traffic, say on a bridge or something of that nature, along with all of the nuclear power plants have been cleaned thoroughly, okay? And thirdly, the infrastructure such as electrical water has been pretty much cleared. The other 5% are in locations where they'll drop the face off a building or something like that, trying to prove that they're God or whatever their deal is. Okay?
Okay, next question. Central banks are buying all the gold they can for the gold standard. They are privately owned, so who will have the gold? This is very confusing.
Who will have the gold? Well,
yeah. Who will have the gold?
There's only a limited amount that is available for sale on the open market presently, and they can buy all of that. It will not affect what's going to happen when the monetization of the of certain portions of the collateral accounts takes place. Meaning, using gold for collateral against sheets of certificates. Those certificates are then monetized into $1 million or $1 billion notes that are then monetized into dollars or Deutschmarks or whatever it is, whatever currency. There has been a whole load of thievery over a whole lot of years of the accounts or against the accounts, and there's a couple of things that we're going to have some serious problems with. But there's only one certification, and these people have falsified all the certifications. The only problem is you ain't got the right number, dude. Oops.
Oh, good. They have been trying in so many different ways to confiscate things or to cheat people or to do what they're so accustomed to doing, but it's being brought to a halt rather quickly, if I understand.
Yeah, you sounded funny just now.
I did?
Yeah, kind of warped.
Oh, you couldn't hear what I was saying or what?
I do now.
Oh, okay.
It only lasts for a few seconds, it quits. So,
all I know is Drake and I tested the sound before we started, and it sounds good to him, and it sounds good to me, so whatever happens in between, who knows?
Well, what you got to understand is people are trying to shut us up. Think about that very carefully. Ah,
We don't shut up easy, do we? Anyway, okay, please bear that in mind, people. We do the best we can to make the sound what it is, but people can't screw with it without our having any knowledge of that. So, okay, next question.
yes.
People with not a lot of money would get debit cards, but you said big money was not but they said big money was not really addressed. So, can you address that?
Big money was not what?
Addressed.
No, yeah, it was addressed. We have what they call podunks or small fry. The small fry are the people that got like $500,000, $1 million maybe, or less. And that includes almost everybody. Okay, the ones that have multiple millions, okay, they're not going to be addressed nicely. They're going to be given maybe 30% of what they have accrued, what they think they have accrued. 99% of the problem with big money is that it is accrued illegally, fraud or whatever takes place. Most of the little people don't have the wherewithal to be able to commit that fraud. They just ain't got the money to do that.
Exactly.
Okay. Therefore, you're going to get on the lower end of the scale. We get a 1-to-1. On the higher end of the scale, they might be lucky to get 50 cents if they're lucky. And if they do everything honestly, they might get a little more than 50 cents. They could get 60 cents on the dollar. And if they were an honest company making it because they worked harder or whatever the simple situation is, good for them.
Or maybe did something humanitarian.
It don't matter. As long as they didn't cheat to get there, then we should treat them a little better than the other guys. Okay.
Okay. What happens to the general public's cash and bank account holdings?
Well, you've heard of the new gold-backed certificates that are coming out. You will slowly see those replacing the dollar. At one point in the future, when most of the dollars have been replaced in terms of wherever they may be being used, there will be a recall of the dollar. And they'll have one hell of a bonfire somewhere or switch it over to something different. I don't know exactly how they're going to do that, but I'd say get the marshmallows and weenies ready.
Okay. Please kindly explain what are the Mandela effect and the Schumann resonance.
Oh boy. I tell you what, you want to really learn it, look it up, look up the Mandela effect, and then cross-reference it to an echo. And if an echo, what's interesting about echoes, and this is really, really interesting, an echo doesn't happen as soon as you speak generally. There's a little time frame in there. What's happening is that whatever spherical pocket or whatever is catching your voice, you're echoing around in there until it builds up to a point where it can't stand it anymore. And the layer of viscosity of the air over the top of it fails to be able to contain it. And you hear your echo, 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 echo.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
If you don't want a ridiculous answer, don't ask. I mean, some of the stuff is ridiculous.
I agree. And some of it you can find information if you Google it.
Well, the Schumann frequency has gone crazy. And
yes.
So, expect some changes coming, because the only time it ever goes bonkers like this is just before some kind of great change, generally in society. I'm not talking about some kind of major disaster or anything. I'm just talking simply about our situation and place in society. All of this might change. The least may be the greatest, and the greatest may be the least. You don't know how much of the principle is going to be applied, so you can't predict it.
Okay. Now, this is a long one. Okay, my understanding is that fourth density has both positive and negative polarities. If a soul graduates to fourth density, positive, does this mean that there is a parameter in service to others versus those that graduate to fourth negative parameter to service to self?
Okay, is that it, or you got more?
Let me go through the rest of it. Please elaborate on the percentage or present visual of a positive fourth versus a negative fourth.
No.
Okay.
Whoever's asking it can find that online. You're gonna have to learn how to look. Okay. Now, as far as positive and negative, consider everything positive, and that there is no negative. Consider that very carefully because that's the way it is. You don't have a hell. People don't go down; they go up. Up is positive. I guarantee you. Now, the people that you used to know that have died are in 4D somewhere, sometimes in 5D, but the gist of it is this. You can arrange to meet those people and give them that big a hug that you miss so much. So, and, oh, you know everything? Yeah. Oh, boy. How guilty am I? I mean, this would be a first thing you'd ask your mom or dad. You're not going to stick me in a pickle jar or something, are you? No, you weren't that. My parents were pretty nice. They let me live. So I, hold a lot against them. Now, the other part of this is simple. You're going into upper 5D. And I say upper because the lower and middle is populated with a whole bunch of nasties that we do not need to be fooling with, especially with people who are new to all this. So the new people will go to the new people, as well as the ones that are experienced, such as myself, will go to an upper level or higher level of 4D, probably around the upper 40%, give or take. And I'll probably be partially an instructor. You're going to have a lot of classes. I'm going to have to take classes. This is so that you understand 4D well enough so that you can not only use it, but transition to 5. Oh, boy. 5 is going to take some time to get through for the simple fact there's a whole lot of people out here that think that I'm just playing. I got dropped on my head too many times and I just ain't right and this don't make sense and you're full of it and all that. Well, guess what? You're going to get a surprise. This particular nutcase does deal with a lot of reality. So fasten your seat belts in your office chair and get the popcorn out.
Yeah, I think when you said that the first time, you said 5D, but I know you meant 4D.
Well, you go to 4. You go in numerical order. We're in 3, so we got to go to 4. After 4, and when I say after 4, that means when the majority of the population existing in 3D now, and by majority, I'm talking like 98%, somewhere in that area, gets the passes the classes offered or gets enough of the knowledge that they change their ways, then we go to 5D. Just as suddenly as we went to 4D, somebody goes clunk, flips the switch, and bingo, there you are. 5D is just as much different in comparison to 4D as 4D is to 3D. Now think about no longer having aging problems. That's 3 to 4. Think about what kind of fun and games you're going to have when you get to be a slick turkey and you do the transition into number 5. Ooh. 5 will take us a while to get through for the simple fact that 6 is another destination point. It come in 3s. 1, 2, 3. Third, we're in the 3D right now. They go from 3 to 4. Oh, got to learn something, so that'll take a little delay. 5, oh my goodness gracious. You didn't tell me it was going to be this intense. I didn't sign up to be a nuclear physicist. Quit it. And hey, then when you get one, when you finally think you got that under control, they do it again. 6. Yeah, flip the switch and let's see how tight this guy is screwed together.
Okay, this one's a different kind of. Okay, I thought Donald Trump was a walk-in, and now Syrian had taken his body on a voluntary accord. However, recently heard otherwise, that he was no walk-in. Well, what's the truth of the matter?
Trump ain't going nowhere that he's not specifically invited to go. He has not changed dimensions. He's met people from other dimensions, and is continually being briefed on what his particular character act is supposed to be according to the stage that's been set and what needs to be done.
Okay, so people seem to think that he's totally acting alone, and he's
No,
Really
there's a huge heap of people either in the White House or closely associated or helping out a bunch. To them, I salute you. The other part is that ET is also majorly involved in the geopolitical platform, and it's a mess. They're looking at causing it to straighten itself out. Trump's looking at putting all the heat. Not him. I didn't do it. Go read the law, man. That sort of shit. What I do when I advise somebody is to make sure that you are not the centerfold target. Make sure that you make direct reference to the laws involved so that the law can take the heat and you go about your business and not worry about it. Real simple. That's what Trump's doing.
Okay. There are sources from inner Earth that say there is a firmament. Are you still of the opinion there is no firmament? And if so, could this be disinformation from inner Earth sources?
You're going to have to forget the designation of firmament. Not because it don't exist, but because it's not exactly what everybody thinks it is. If you want to get into the brass tacks of it, check out what NASA scientists have said. Ooh, flunk. About the Great Barrier that we have in the sky. There's a belt up there, and it stops everything, and nobody can figure out how to get through it. I know how to get through it, but I'm going to tell nobody. Because I've been asked by the Deep Space Commander not to say anything, for the simple fact that they do not want to allow Earth, and I'm not talking about the good guys, but I'm talking about the bad guys, to resupply the ideology of, well, you remember Star Wars, you remember the Empire. They don't want you sending lunch for the guys that are playing the part of the Empire. Pretty simple. They did smack them down and put them in their place. So, they don't want any, I don't know what you call it, auxiliary help, let's say.
Okay, that works. Okay. In reference to 5G towers, we have sources on both sides. For example, Mike Emery is dismissing it, alleging we are on a 4D bubble and it won't affect us. And yet there are others that say just the opposite. What's the truth of the matter with 5G?
Okay. The weaponized mechanical 5G won't happen. Can't take place. If they start it up, it will self-destruct. So that leaves natural 5G. Natural 5G is harmless. What it does, though, is even without a phone, you're going to get your mind expanded to an extent where you can actually use some of the things that you find on your phone that are called apps. Ooh. You think about how much fun that'd be. When we get to the correct place, we won't need cell phones anymore. We will be a fully telepathic race as intended in the beginning when they started this. Okay, so you can forget most forms of communication. In 5D, we will learn we will learn the basis of what we are to learn, which is really advanced in 6D, that concerns the capability of being telepathic with any entity. I already do that, but that's me, and I'm different. But the process is very simple. We won't need vocal cords, whether we still keep them or not. I think I'd like to hear a good opera once in a while, or a really great singer, or whatever. So
music.
Yeah, I hope they keep it. Are we having fun yet?
Yeah. Well, there are others that still think that the 5D thing is not 5D. I'm sorry, 5G. Wrong letter. is extremely dangerous, and that they are. Some of these large telecommunication companies are trying to implement it.
Yeah, but the problem I told you about is very simple. He who turns it on is going to get to watch it melt down. Anybody what part of no don't you understand? You was told not to do that. Well, guess what? We did it anyway. We think you're full of shit. I said, well, turn it on then. Watch.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is there isn't any 5G that's actually going to damage people the way that they think.
Not supposed to. Anything that turns on its 5G that is weaponized in any way, shape, or form has been reprogrammed by ET to self-destruct. That means meltdown and all that other happy stuff. If it was me, I'd bring popcorn so I could pop some from the fire. That's just me.
Has this happened anywhere?
3 cases that I know of, and I ain't going to specify where. There was supposed to be one in the States. Whether that took place or not is questionable because everybody scurried like a bunch of hungry ants to a picnic in terms of covering it up. Now the cover-ups and all that stuff's still in place, so until we get things a little more leveled, you're going to have to deal with that. It's just how it is. Okay.
Okay. This is a personal question from someone. I'm able to see an implant near my third eye. Will these implants dissolve when the veil is finally lifted?
That varies. Some people have to have them removed. It takes about 2 seconds for the removal, and there's nothing physically involved that you can sense. So it's just it's gone kind of thing. It's kind of nice.
Well, that's good. Okay. Okay. Are poof and zap legitimate?
Somewhat not. Listen to what they say. Compare it to what you know. Then use that little device in your head called discernment, and you'll know. Part is, part not. It's like the Muggsy show. Part is and part isn't. Simple, not complicated.
Well, that's another question. That's a kind of a lead-in right to this one. Do you listen to Ken's show with Perry and the Quantum Shift? If not, you may want to, so you know that what is being put out there. Many of the questions that are asked on this show are seeking clarification or confirmation of what's been said on that show.
Yeah. I've specified some things on a private level. I guess I got to go public with it. A lot of the things that George, that would be Muggsy's ET contact, tells her are very general so that the specifics are not let out. Because of Kent's causation of problems, Muggsy has become suspect in terms of leading towards Kent. Consequently, the trust is being evaluated as we speak. And I'm not going to say any more than that.
Enough said. Okay, who is Yahweh and Jehovah really?
Pissed off ETs that like the feeling of being worshipped. They're both in detention. I put their ass there. Well, these ET entities think they're all that until somebody walks up and grabs them by the gonads and says, "Come with me, boy. You're in heap of trouble." It's really funny to watch the differential between what they're all nice and happy and, "Oh, hi, man, what's going on? Hey, you're going with me." And grab them by the throat, thump. Man, you talk about some really funny. I mean, my eyeballs get that big around sometimes. It just puts them in shock.
Mm-hmm. Demanding worship and sacrifice and all those other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. Whose baby are you going to, cook up next? What a wife, in my opinion.
Okay, on Netflix, there's a series called The Family. Is there a concept in the elite or the ruling group known as the family?
Yes. It's global and nasty, and they seem really nice. Oops. No. They're the kind of people that will give you over to an ET that will eat you alive, just so they can hear you scream. They want to see how loud. Bite this one, see how loud he gets. That sort of really nice people.
Okay. Hey, have you ever heard of nano sheets?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess that was the only question. So For those of you out there, you might want to look that up. Okay.
Some questions are quicker than others.
Yeah. Can you please ask Ray that if the Anunnaki cannot reincarnate in a human body, how are you as a Q in a human body? Because you are also multidimensional, aren't you? Aren't we all?
Yes. I'm also, oh boy, I'm also an elemental. Elementals are not limited according to their choice as to what they want to do with themselves. Being the entity that I am, they had some trouble, and I mean this quite literally, some serious trouble shoving myself down into the friggin' go in the package up, quit, he says, getting out again. You know, they were, you know, it's kind of like I watched The Exterminator, Billy the Exterminator, and they had squirrels in this lady's house, and they were trying to catch him. You want to see something funny? Think Keystone Cops after furry little things that can't be caught by normal means, and you get the picture. Okay, that's the sort of resistance I got when I packed some certain entities into my detention pods. Now, my detention pods are interesting in that they do not seem to be a pod. Once I get you in there and close the lid, this is cool. I had to think this through quite a long time. These detention pods offer an infinity of experiences based on previous and what those previous experiences would lead to. But the person that wants to motor around even at light speed, they don't go anywhere. They're in a containment pod, and they don't know the difference, and it's just lovely. I just love it. It doesn't do them any harm. They're subject to their own imagination for the very first time. It's just, I love it.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. Okay, is the Mexican president freeing the country, or is he part of the cabal?
Until he takes certain definitive actions, he's part of the problem. I'm not going to say he's part of the cabal. The cabal is what drives the different groups down there to do things that ain't cool. 750 pounds of nasties to try to cross the border with, indeed. Fentanyl. 750 pounds of it is enough to kill every person in the United States. Some of them more than once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guess where it comes from? Hello, China.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. China needs to suck it up and practice their Gestapo boots on some necks over there. Get that straightened out so it's under control, and tell them don't do that again, or we're going to tie you to a tree over there and let the critters of the woods eat you, or something else nice.
Okay. All right, here's another one. I realize that Obama's have been exposed, but it's only circulating among those in the truth movement. His brainwashed followers will not hear it from people like us. I want to know when and if it will be common knowledge, like the sky is blue, even among his followers, that they're both totally fraudulent, and why. So will that ever happen?
Oh, yeah, they're going to flip the switch, and we're going to make a transition. When we make the transition, everybody gets the knowledge, whether they want it or not. Hey, man, have some truth. That's a 4-letter word. Bend over, here it comes.
Okay.
The ideal, the problem is that a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still is a truth statement for the beliefs. Okay. The problem we have is that people who have never done anything in their whole life, never made accomplishments much one way or the other, seem to think that they are in charge when they're still in Sunday school, better known as higher education. So until they wise up and find out that no matter how they go about it, even if you didn't have college debt, who's going to give you a job for knowing how to clean paintbrushes? I mean, you know, you're talking liberal arts, and I'm trying to tell you, liberal arts can go to design and engineering only if applied correctly, and only if you have that background. So, you know, the colleges, oh, there's plenty of employment. First time there isn't, that student has the right to sue them.
For, really?
Yeah, for up to 3 times the indebtedness. And nobody is doing this, and I didn't understand why. What are you scared of? You afraid you won't look liberal enough or socialist enough? I mean, I tell you, quit worrying about everybody else and worry about your own pocket. Hello.
Okay. These equity cards you've talked about that are like a $25,000 credit card that you don't have to pay back. How does that work? Is it $25K per year, $25K per month, or like we can buy something up to $25K and a nanosecond up to a day later it gets refilled?
E.T. don't want me to tell you exactly how it works, but I'm going to give you some info. Anyway, it works like this. It is a necessity card, okay? It is straight up debit. It's not a credit card in any way, shape, or form. It's a debit card on an account set up for you by the masters of the universe. And I ain't going to tell you who those are either. However, what it does is it allows you to be put in a position where you no longer have to suffer because you are not one of the rulers of the universe. Very simple. That's basically the ideology. If somebody had money, what would you do with it? Okay. Most people will improve their position. Most people that got any sense will improve their position, whether it's a condition. I need a car. Okay. Well, the card would cover, go to a used car lot and get a good one. And, there you go. You got a car. Okay. Then to go along with it, this is a straight up cash card, meaning that you can take it to any bureau, whether it's motor vehicles or whatever, and use it there as well. Now, motor vehicles have been taking credit cards, but they're going to have a problem with these debit cards because the only requirement to use a debit card is proof of assets on hand, and it'll tell them now assets of so much, and how much are you deducting today? And they say so much, and they say for what, and they punch in they fill out the line, they type in the number of the license plate, pop. There it goes, okay? And they put the little sticker on or hand you the sticker, make you do it. Here's your new plate. Go out there and stick it on your new car. I mean, okay, well, a lot of people would like to have some food in the refrigerator or decent clothes or, pick something, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It can be spent on anything you choose to spend it on that deals with your well-being. And if it's a place to stay or what, it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about our jobs?
Those might just be changed a bit. I don't know how many will be changed to what or which ones will be. There's not going to be very, very much in the way of negation of jobs. There's going to be a creation of a bunch of new ones, or toward the way it was supposed to work or the way it's supposed to be initiated. So you'll have an opportunity. Hey, I got talents in that area. Let's come on down and fill out an application. You might just qualify, and you might just double what you make. Ooh.
Well, that was the next question. Will they pay us too, or the cards are paid?
Well, the cards, you're going to find that eventually you'll be credited a certain amount into your account, which the card accesses. That's basically the way employment works now. Anyway, you never see, you go down there, unless you cash your paycheck, you don't see that money. You deposit that slip of paper that says that you got money into your bank account, and then if you're lucky, you got lunch money left over.
Yeah, depending on how many days they have to have in order to make it available to you. And obviously, they can do it. They can take it away like that. But when you want it back, it'll take them 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, the thing about it all is that everybody has to realize that most things don't happen instantaneously. Something of this magnitude and type can take up to 5 years. I don't think it's going to take quite that long for the simple fact of the programs that are coming into play and people they're going to need people for. Pretty simple.
Here we go too. Now this is something that is interesting, because won't that promote stagnation from lack of incentive? So in other words, that's saying like, you and I are doing something here, but we're not getting paid for it. Well, where's our incentive?
Where is your incentive? Well, yes, you do get paid for it. It goes into your account. Your account reaches a certain point, you get to spend holiday on a cruise ship somewhere, if that's what you want. And it is not something that is run against your account. This is gratis because you have been productive at that, or there's your reward. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about a no expense, a full all expense paid vacation. Cruising. If you're really good, you get a cruise around the friggin' world. And these people are smart. They do not run the boats into hurricanes or any of that other stupid stuff that's been going on.
I guess the point I was getting at is that when people are able to do what they enjoy doing, or what they see as having value, other people usually see that value as well, and it's not necessarily it doesn't promote stagnation, is what I'm saying. It would be like,
well, it can't. We have such a great need on this planet in terms of people need things. That's not going to be wearing out. There is no stagnation. The stagnation is going to be in people's minds because some dink that don't know anything says so. Probably.
Okay, I agree. Okay. What good can come of racially mixing kids prior to them becoming racially indoctrinated if they just go home to the very environment that would be racially indoctrinating them? Seems like trying to mix oil and water in the same container and expecting the water to be on top. Now, this sounds like a little bit of a racist statement, in my opinion, but anyway, do you have any comments on that?
Well, it sounds to me like somebody needs to study some psychology. The psychology involved in the things that adults believe in do not necessarily fit the realities that children find. Children find the realities very quickly. Now, JC supposedly said, suffer not these little ones to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of God. That means that if you're innocent, you don't give a shit that somebody's a different color.
Exactly.
Wow, man, we're different. I'll race you to the swings. All of a sudden, it just doesn't matter. All right. And getting things to a point where it doesn't matter involves doing away with a whole load of prejudices that have been stuck in our whatevers, our parents' whatevers. It comes down the line. You have churches that dictate, thou shalt. Well, horse hockey. You have governments that won't have anything less than you've got to follow Allah or whatever it might be. Okay, the ideology that being a Muslim is that Mohammedan is a religion is horse hockey. If you take a close look at it, it's political. That doesn't meet the grade. Okay, neither does a whole lot of the horse hockey that's been going on in the Christian church forever. Neither does all this stuff that if you don't comply, we're going to close your business down. Well, for what reason? We don't like your politics or whatever the deal may be. The problems that we have primarily rally around the idea that my particular addiction to this particular type of prejudice is right and the whole world is wrong. Well, not true. What is, there is, almost everybody I've ever talked to ever are prejudiced against the idea of their own death. They don't want to die, I want to live. Please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go. Well, okay, let's deal then. How is it then that we would want to give somebody the dirty end of the stick in terms of life? That don't equate. If you wipe the stick off and clean it up and you guys can share the stick, then you got a partnership. I know a whole lot of people that learned the difference between prejudice and partnership, especially when you're in the foxhole You don't care what that person is. Just shoot at the enemy, please. Okay, well, simple. We have an enemy here that is trying to take any and all forms of what freedom we've got left away from us, squeeze us into a little box, and if we make any noise about it, bad boy, shut up. Mm-hmm. Who needs that? Nobody.
Exactly. Well, you know what that reminds me of is a form of indoctrination that goes on in prisons. They have, when they go out for recreation, they have a jar of water for blacks, a jar of water for whites, a jar of water for Mexicans, and a jar of water for because they can't intermix them. That is actually promoting racism.
Yeah, and if it was me, I'd give me a 55-gallon drum, dump all them jugs of water into the same one, and tell them to have at it. And I want to know why. I want to know who thinks that the water tastes funny because I put a black one or a Muslim or whatever in there.
Yeah.
Do you taste Chinese, really? I don't think so.
These are the kinds of things that people get programmed with. And all
blacks, you got to get to hate and kill all blacks. Jews are nasty. They're running the world. We got a Muslim invasion going on. Ooh, and we got all them Mexicans coming across the border. Somebody needs to do something. Oh my God. And you hear this horse hockey and every one of these mandates, every time online that this dumb numbnuts has a real serious antisocial problem. And, ooh, I think I'm going to get me a gun and go straighten it all out. Really? And gun laws, forget it. That don't work. It's been tried everywhere. Chicago's got some of the best gun laws in the world. And it's bang, bang, shoot 'em up Wild West every weekend in California. What was the last big shooting you had there? I mean, sure, yeah, right. Unless you go motoring around in a tank. That's kind of obvious. And the cops and other people probably would object. But
unless it was the cops themselves,
Sometimes that happens too.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it. But anyway, here's another one. If we're not to equate Lucifer with evil, why are Luciferians pedivores and the like?
Well, that's pretty simple. They adopted it. The Christian symbol of the cross, when turned upside down, is evil. Ooh. The symbol of the Christian cross in terms of the single center and the crossbar comes from a sword being stuck in the ground. Ooh. Now, if you want to know the real true origin of the cross, there's one that is real obvious, and it's got a single line, only it's got two crossbars. Oh, my. Now we're getting into the secret orders.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I hate that secret stuff. It always leads to something bad, it seems.
Somebody needs to look these people up because they are just as prevalent, if not more so today, and a hell of a lot more wealthy today than they were back then. And they're assisting in a whole lot of things.
Okay. Okay, don't they commit those heinous acts to gain power from Lucifer and his minions, or are we being duped?
You're being duped because, first of all, Lucifer is the light bearer, so therefore he can't be evil. And if you want to get power, you might want to check out what it takes to access power for yourself from higher powers. You want to get a headache? Try that one. I guarantee you're going to strain something in the body. You're going to have sore muscles right in here. Guarantee you're going to have a headache from this. Why? Because it's extraordinarily difficult, for one. Number two, it's not a standard or accepted practice, right? And the third part of it is you don't need to do that. You individually, if you know how, and you decide to learn something for a change, have all of the inherent powers that you need. I mean, all of them. If somebody decides to be stupid, you can pick up I'll think about this very carefully. You pick up a parked car and smash them over the head with it. How about that, Dink? Feel like you want nasty now? Oh, I need the hospital.
Okay.
I'm not playing games about this. if you ask a master and they'll tell you about concentration of chi, they can take their chi and kill somebody. Well, how far do you need to go?
But that's also someone who's worked on themselves and gone within and learned how to utilize.
That's right. You got to develop it. You have to know what you're doing. There's a shitload of learning involved. This is so that it will not be misused. 99% of the really bad guys don't act like bad guys, so they don't have to. They know what they are and what kind of mayhem and damage and whatever. You know, if you don't want your head stuck in the concrete out there on the sidewalk, you don't screw with that guy. Real simple. It's not complicated. But most of them, like I say, they don't have to like, give you funny looks, or talk strange, or just, enjoying themselves right up until it gets serious. And then they crank it up a notch.
Okay. Oh, this one sounds like there's a little bit of sexism here, but we'll move on. Are other human societies matriarchal or patriarchal or some kind of blending? If men are the heavy lifters, burden takers, and warriors, but women are in charge, it seems like men could become disposable slaves or cannon fodder. Why would women care if they expect men to do isn't safe, or if they have no skin in the game when it comes to war? Now, like I said, that's obviously very prejudiced.
Well,
I'll let you handle it, though.
Well, it's very simple. Most of the majority of the matriarchal or patriarchal stuff was designated by way of Yahweh, wonderful entity, who stipulated that women should shut up and men should be in charge. That was stipulated back then. Okay, then you also have Muhammad saying pretty much the same sort of thing. Actually, if you want to even a step further and say, I don't have any use for any of you. You guys are people. You don't count. Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you want to get into the fun and games of it. You have these people who come up with things like manufactured antiquity. And I'm going to give you a good example. Everybody's familiar with this. It's called the Law of One. Suddenly it appears horse hockey. It was either there and had been there for all of the centuries, millenniums that it was supposed to be, or it's fake news. And I'm going to tell you that almost all of this stuff is fake news. It's a falsie. So, pick it.
I agree. Okay, is it true that Palladian worlds were destroyed by Dracos and reptilians because they were too pacifistic? Which seems like a common thread with off-planet human societies. Were they matriarchal too?
It was a combination. The world or planets were ruled matriarchally. Blah, 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 that's all.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
The off-world was patriarchal, and why they decided to separate that way, take a guess. Nobody knows, and it ain't in any of the history of the Palladians or anybody else as to why. They just say, "Oh, okay, well, we decided to do it this way." Well, enjoy yourself. The thing about the races, the varying entities, is that they are just about as diverse as you can get in terms of what's what and what they would like to do with what is available. Okay? What's available is that they know what humans are capable of. When we get to the point, they had a movie called Lucy, and it describes things to an interesting extent, except that the last part of it is incorrect. The very ending of the movie itself is incorrect. I can't help that this, somebody didn't know no better, but they took this CPH4, which is the atomic bomb that happens in babies so they can grow bones and grow themselves. And they synthesized it. And she ended up taking something like, I don't know, 3 pounds, when you're supposed to get 1/10 millionth of an ounce, maybe. And that'd be for somebody that's big, right? You need big bone. Okay. Anyway, what happened was that knowledge became something that could be manifested in terms of your understanding. In other words, she took her hand and changed it way up and changed it to this, changed it to that. Okay. Knowledge opens your capacity to be able to function in different ways, basically. So the more knowledge you get, the greater functionality you have at the higher levels. Again, all of a sudden you get to study and you figure out, oh, I'm going up a little bit more. Oh, I can do this or I can do that. Okay. The ideology is very simple. There are two kinds of knowledge. One is dekomai. Dekomai is Greek, means mentally assent and or understand the ideology of something. If I explain a shovel to you and describe it, you can get a mental picture. That's basically what dekomai is. Then you got the mother of all mothers for the second one. Lambano is you're making real in the senseless realm, okay, in the senseless realm where you can physically hold it, that very same shovel out of nothing at all. Ooh, these were common occurrences among certain adepts. And I'm not going to stipulate that it was the apostles because there was only two of those that could do it. Think about this very carefully. We have capabilities way beyond anything ET's got technologically. If you can do that, simple. I mean, yet complicated. It is, convoluted at the very least. It's intricate. It's just as intricate as the thoughts of all the people on the planet. It goes for billions of years. So you have to learn how to apply yourself in order to accomplish the goal. Two goals that man has. And there's only two. One, I want all the toys and money. That's number one. This is true of adults now. Okay. Number two, I want to live as long as I want to live and have a really great time doing it. I want the finest food and the finest dinner. Bingo. Two things. They would like to, most people have a singular drive. They would like to leave behind, okay, some kind of monument or some such that shows I was here. This is the Drake Bridge. Ooh, this is the Gail crossover, whatever it may be. Most people would like to have people think about that because then they come and look at, man, do you realize what that guy did? Do you know what she did? And then they got together. Oh, my goodness. Well, the ideology here is very simple. These are the passions of most people. The greatest fear are people's dreams. People have dreams. The dreams you had when you were a kid to be this, that, or the other thing, be able to fly or whatever it might be. And that's one that they're afraid of that because it's a dream. And what they really are extraordinarily and extremely scared of, their very massively worst fear is simple, that they might succeed. Ooh.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
You got to get these things across in such a manner that people will pick it up. Well, there you go. The wisdom of the day.
Okay. Yes, I get it. Okay. This is going to be, this shows another prejudice, I'm sorry, but if we're supposed to be matriarchal, why do men have higher IQs? Shouldn't the people in charge be the smartest possible? See what I mean about prejudices here? I don't think that's a truthful statement to begin with.
No.
Someone has been programmed to believe that.
Yeah, men don't have a higher IQ. Women, it's all an equality deal. You want an honest God level playing field and equality. Check them out. They're just right. They're so close to being even. It's anyway.
Yeah. Move on. Okay. The people running the plan are intentionally causing the public stress, pain, and harm, and we're supposed to trust in it. Are they trying to instigate a civil war or excuses to confiscate guns? Patriots will never allow that and would descend on DC like a biblical plague if it was even attempted. Is that what they want?
No. The people that are actually running the plan are making it a little easier to keep your guns and your freedoms and your rights without having to storm Washington, D.C. Oh, and I'm going to add something about storming places.
Including Area 51?
Yeah, there's a bunch of idiots out there. I think they're going to get away with mobbing Area 51. I don't care how many there are of you. You'll be rounded up. There are ways and means that they have that you're not aware of. Some of them are kind of painful, from what I understand. So I would not do that. Now, back to the people running the plan are trying to make sure that the evils that we understand now and that have been outed do not occur again, and that the structure that allowed it no longer exists. That destructuring and destruction of that sort of thing is extraordinarily difficult. You don't want to hurt people in the process. Do no harm. Think about that very carefully. Mm-hmm. What do? Well, you leave their head above ground and you seal them up in a big pot of I don't know, tapioca pudding or something.
Here's another question that I know is. Anyway, I'll ask him anyway. Is IQ set at birth like genetically, or can IQ be influenced up or down by environmental, social factors, nutrition? Maybe I should add propaganda.
IQ is based on the quantitative effect of informational intake, which is not correct according to the biological IQ, which is is totally and considerably different. What the biological IQ allows for is intake of information that you could not receive in any way, shape, or form. When you go to showing the mistakes made by Einstein in his mathematics, people go, "Who do you think you are?" I said, "Well, you want to check the math out, or you want to just complain?" People have the inalienable right to bitch about it, whatever. Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Exercise. Well, yeah, but the situation is simple. You either do a thing or you do not. And it is either yours or something else's. You have to be able to understand which is what and how it works. Pretty simple. Okay.
What about justice for the pedos victims and punishment for the perps?
Okay, those people will be healed on a level that we can't understand. That the nasty memories, events, etc., will be adjusted and or eliminated. Now, sometimes they simply put a blinder on so you can't see it. And then they package it small, move it out of the way, and they put another one up where you have decent memories until such time as you can deal with those nasty memories. Most people are put in a position under the ETs to deal with the nasty memories, but on a finalizing basis. Don't do that. Don't allow that person to ever do that again, or whatever it may be. Both the victim and the perpetrator in these cases will be healed of their problems with it. So it's not going to be something that's left, it ain't just a Band-Aid to let it heal on its own. This actually does it. If they need to rewire your head, they will.
I was just going to say, even if it requires rewiring, right?
Yeah, it could in some cases.
Yeah, so definitely. Lionsgate is now open, and we basically have until the end of the month to release energy we're holding in, or when the Dragon's Gate gets opened next month, the dragons will destroy it. Is that true?
Sort of, kind of. What you want to do is you want to put into things the good energy that you have within you. In other words, your heartfelt energies. That's a cute kid. Irrespective as to whether it's the right color or whatever, that don't make no. Forget that. The kid's cute because it's a kid. It's like baby animals. You know, you're going to say that this baby animal is cuter than that one? Can't be done. Why? Because they're all cute. Well, if you take that same aspect and expect only decent results from every intercourse you have with anyone or any situation, then that thing also kicks in and makes it so. Ooh, ain't that wonderful? Yeah, expect something nice. The big bad guy that's killing everybody on the sidewalk. Dude, you need to quit that. Huh? Have a nice day, but don't do that. Really? Why not? Because it ain't right and you know it. Really? Think about it. Stand there and puzzle for a few minutes. You're just grinning going down the sidewalk. You done did your thing. Okay? The manifestation of the correct social structure is very simple. You just simply make it contagious. You've heard of sphere of influence. That can extend out to miles from an individual or a few feet, depending on what the situation. But it's there. It is tangible. They can read it. Ooh, that means if you come up to somebody and say, "Oh, man, look like you're doing all right," and just don't even need to say anything. Either they will strike up a conversation with you, such as the big bad guy that's killing everybody on the sidewalk, or they'll go, and they'll think about it. That's all it takes. When they entertain a thought, then about 90% of the darkness leaves. It's called the candle under the bushel in the Bible. It's a principle. Pull a basket off the candle. Look how much light flees such a small amount. How much darkness flees such a small amount of light. The little candle's maybe an inch tall, and it lights up the whole friggin' room. Oh my goodness. Well, you need to turn on your light and shine it on somebody and let them deal with it. What happens when their light turned on? They go, huh? Wait a minute. Did you just do something to me? I said, no, I don't do nothing to nobody. You done it to yourself, maybe. Then keep on and do the answer while you're walking. Oh man. Sometimes they'll run and catch up with you. Hey, dude, come back here. What?
It's kind of like giving somebody an unexpected compliment, and they're kind of like, and you get this great big old smile, and you probably made their day.
Exactly.
So, okay. How does the Papal Bull apply to the British Empire and then America's expansion?
Well, that particular pope should have been skinned alive, in my opinion. Well, the right of conquest was what the Papal Bull was about, meaning that when you find some place, such as the Americas, you own everything and you have enslaved everybody there. Now, what kind of bullshit is that, especially from the church? Well, I think the Pope needed some adjustment,
Definitely need some adjustment there. Yeah, some of the popes have been responsible for the slaughter of millions of people.
Well, the problem we got is that if you want to get into Indian stuff, I'll give you a little taste. There's a large amount, and I'm talking a majority, of the United States that never has been owned by anybody other than the originals known as the Indians. Ooh. And they can take it back or charge you unbelievable sums. Bureau of Indian Affairs needs to be, they need to nail some hides to a wall, burn the place down, and a few other things. That I'm a Christian person, and I'm not going to suggest that that's not nice, but it's appropriate.
Yes, I know. I can relate. I've been there. I've worked on a number of Indian reservations, and I've seen the results of some of the things that have been done to great people. I've seen a number of things that have been done to very good people.
Yeah.
Said who really knew how to appreciate nature.
Yeah. Keep talking loud. Keep talking loud. I can hear you a lot better.
Oh, okay. All right. Then some people tell me I'm too loud. I can't win, it seems. But anyway, that's okay.
It happens.
People are just Okay. Do all or most species have the God spark?
Well, that depends on how you define the God spark. If you're talking about the divinity of being created, everything created has a God spark, including rocks. So if this person wants to try to really define the God spark, that is not the God particle either. Believe me, it's not the God particle. God spark is different, and that means that it was created specifically by the creator. So it's a creator spark, not a God spark. Anyway.
Is that how we're all connected?
Yes.
I thought so. I just wanted to add that. Okay. Is this the experiment that life on Earth is all about? Oh, wait a minute. I missed a question. Maybe that. Secondly, what is it about human beings that makes us so unique, so different from all or most other races, and to the point that other ETs actually want much for themselves from us, or they want our DNA or what have you? Is this what the experiment that the life on Earth is all about?
They try to use any excuse they can. They've tried just about every way possible, and none of them have been able to assimilate the human quality into themselves under any adjustments known. We are unique in that respect, and that's why they want us so badly. They would like to find out more about us, and therefore are willing to protect us until such time as we transition. And they're also willing to make sure that pirating forces don't get involved in our social dynamics to the point where it begins to run it. That's the two thing. Okay, so they're waiting on the transition too, and then after that, watch and see how much disclosure and how many things have changed and whatnot in 4D. It's awesome, guaranteed.
And it's coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you define incarnate?
Well, an incarnate is somebody that has been incarnated into this physical, biological machine that we walk around in. You got your three-part being. Body, that's our biological machine. Soul, that's your character and what gives you soul life in terms of the life that you have within your own mind. All right. You have to look that one up. And then you got spirit, which opens up the whole of creation to you.
That's the best part.
Get in, turned on, and blast off, man. It is awesome out there.
Yes. When we really reconnect with spirit, it is pretty awesome. Okay. And it's been suppressed, but it's loosening up considerably.
Yeah.
If one is a human starseed and even knows their home planet, not Earth, and is here now through a typical vaginal birth from one's mother, is that person an incarnate?
No. An incarnate is an entity such as you or me. All right? That's the soul life they're talking about. That's the energy that drives you and your character, who you are. Mm-hmm. That is, or can be, stuck into a biological entity, this one or yours or whatever, by entities who know what they're doing and how to do it. I volunteered to be incarnated. I'm not sure that was the right decision because it's.
I've heard that before from others.
So,
what did I do to myself?
Well, the thing is, I was supposed to have a mission all along. Never even bothered to think about it. Then it got mentioned. And I've been hunting for years to find out what that might be. And then all of a sudden I started getting huge downloads of information. Now you've seen, most people have seen the things that are done. Let's see, what was that? In the Matrix where, I don't know how to operate that helicopter, but I'll know in a minute.
Yeah, I've heard a number of people that getting downloaded for various reasons or at times, and all of a sudden they have
But
significantly more knowledge.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is something that is drastically awesome. Now, I want you to consider, and everybody out there can consider this as well. Think about the Encyclopedia Britannica being downloaded, whether it's up your nose or in your ear, downloaded into your head. You're talking a massive load. Now, take all the stuff that's been added since that first came out, the updates. That's another, you're filling up houses with paper, and you're trying real hard not to drown and, like that. So what you have to understand is that this is huge, okay? I decided I didn't want the downloads. So I requested a way out of that. I said, look, you're overloading the hair on my head's going to fall out. You keep pushing on it. And they looked at me and said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I need to have access without having the downloads in my head. And they said, oh, okay. You got to do da 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 da, and I did the da 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 da, and it worked. I now have the access to and I use this term loosely, universal knowledge. That means the big library in the sky is fully and completely open to me. If I need to know something, really need to know something, I can just simply ask, and they give me the information. They give it to me in a reference form, kind of like what we have in the way of a link. Okay, they don't. This is psychic, spiritual, combinational deal. And so if I want information from somebody, I can also play mind games with their mind, latch onto them, and grab that information and make it mine. I know, okay. And 9 times out of 10, depending on how intense everything is, generally, unless it's really super intense, like we're getting ready to have nuclear war 3 or something, then most of it is not even noticed. Like go snatch stuff out of a guy's mind and he don't even notice. And I like that. That way,
wow.
Well, I don't want to be a kid. Well, there's a lot of people I know of that can go get classified documents real easily. Bullshit. We got it locked up in a safe. Oh, really? Watch this. They reach their hand right into the safe, grab hold of it, and they're done, man. And they come out with the paper. Or a copy. Now, they have not figured out how the copy works. They have not figured out how the person puts their arm through the friggin' wall of the safe, grabs the paper and brings it out. They're not sure about how that works, but they've had the paper handed to them. Then he unlocks the safe, you go in there and look. I'll be damned, he sure did. That is page 3.
Yeah, wow, that's fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's another question for you. How is an incarnate different from typical human beings?
Well, that's where the God spark thing comes in. Each individual is determined in terms of the God spark on a natural basis, right, to have certain capabilities. Many of the incarnates already have abilities and capabilities, and all they're doing is borrowing a biological machine to walk around in so they can figure out what they're supposed to be doing. Whereas the other person is the more natural portion of the same thing. I'm not unnatural. I'm natural. I mean, I'm here and it's real and all that. So what has to be found out is, where do they correlate? Simple, spiritual. It's the only way you can correlate. And if you take it and make a spiritual connection with another entity, you can quite literally cause that entity to absorb the experience you had of being inserted. Ooh.
Wow.
And then if they're any good at all, they can take a look at theirs and say, I didn't do that to me. They didn't have to shove me in the peanut jar to get me to act right. They go down in there, they didn't have any of that trouble.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. What's going to happen with the people who are in jail after the transition?
Well, it depends on what they did. Most of them probably, if they're in there on marijuana charges and whatnot will be released. And
yeah, they didn't harm anybody.
Yeah,
it wasn't an injured party.
Well, the other thing is that their criminal record will be bleached out, so it don't exist. They don't have a criminal record. They have a record of being incarcerated because what they did was at the time illegal, and now that it's legal, they turn them loose. No big deal. As long as you don't, no harm, no foul. As long as you don't hurt anybody, and marijuana doesn't hurt people other than makes them fat. You smoke marijuana, you get the munchies, and you eat 20 pounds of potato chips. That's not cool, but that's basically what,
Yeah, you got to put a lock on the refrigerator. The covers.
So a lot of the people that are in jail are in there on trumped up charges, which will be revealed by ET. Anybody that is truly innocent, it will be shown that person is, whether they're male, female, or what, and those will be turned loose.
And what about all these horrendous fines and so on that have been put on people?
They did away with the ideology of bail in a couple of different systems, and what the promise is very simple. You got a choice. You can return on the court date or be put in permanently until such time as we can get you in the court. Just that simple. Irrespective of either way, they ain't any bail. Okay? People who have fines should be allowed to work those fines out. Now, the entity has to be the injured party if they're going to levy a fine. I don't care who says what. If they're not the injured party, then they do not have any right, legally or otherwise, to levy any kind of monetary damages, period.
Yeah, like how can the state
That's what I'm saying. The state levies that fine. So therefore, you request that the injured party be presented in the court. Now, the whole state will not fit in court. Okay, so consequently, they got a serious problem. Well, can you put it on the bench then? No. Then what is this horse hockey? You know,
exactly.
And if you do it correctly, the judge has no recourse. And I want to make this very clear. The judge has no recourse but to dismiss the fine, usually the case that goes with it. And here's the key to it. If not, the judge has violated his oath of office, which is a felony. Oh, Judge, you get 2 to 5 out of that one. Cool.
They're so used to getting away with stuff, though, they don't anticipate anything like that.
Well, there's another thing. None of these courts have been put in a position where they have been forced to adjudicate correctly, according to the level playing field and the limitations on the state to generate any kind of revenue or do this or do that to anybody. There is no legal requirement for driver's license or plates. Safety inspection still stands, all right? And I think that's appropriate. Well, I live in the mountains and see some of the things driven around up here. It's scary. It really can. But safety inspections, yes. One, and I mean one and one only, full driving class, where they get to practice and they get to feel of things and how do you parallel park, learn how to do things with what you're supposed to be in charge of. At that point, you register that into a computer. Yeah, they completed the class and did fine. Whiz bang, clunk, clunk, whatever. The computer eats up the note. That person then, until their day of death or incompetence in one form or another, has the right to travel.
Got to use the right word there.
Yeah. If you're a traveler, they'll try to tell you you're an operator. No, I'm not doing this for profit. Well, this is a driver's license. I said, yeah, and it was issued illegally to me. That's why it hasn't been renewed. Okay. You cannot tax a traveler. You can tax a person that's on the road for commercial purposes, but not somebody who is a traveler. You are allowed free gratis without interference to travel the King's Highway. That is in the Articles of Confederation. You have to look them up. I've got them on my computer somewhere. But the thing about it is very simple. They don't have the legal right to do that. And anybody who says they do, okay, you're talking. This is the officer now being attached at the hip for up to 3.5 years in federal court. Ooh, the judge can be removed from his seat for violating the constitutional provisions of the free right to travel. Ooh, the prosecutor can do 2 to 10 for mispresenting the law. I mean, it goes deep.
Do you know there's a lot of them that needs to happen to?
Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to, you're going to have to find somebody that's willing to entertain constitutionality in terms of their court. Has to be a federal judge. And once you do, then what you have to do is you have to tell them, okay, I've got several cases. Are you willing, capable and willing to handle them? Go from there. I have to find a federal judge.
I might have to do that myself. Okay. Is it true that some are going to go to a different planet and the other ones are going to stay in the fourth? Like some are going to stay in the third dimension, so to speak, or in some like that's another misnomer that's being perpetrated out there.
Yeah, that's more BS. Basically, everything goes right down to the bacteria.
Okay, you heard it again, folks.
Okay,
everybody goes.
Here's the thing: they'll tell them they're in 3D when they ain't. We can put them on a big old ship and fly them around in circles until such time as we can change their mind. There's a lot of things that can be done. They can be healed of that problem of, I'm going to be in 3D. I believe my religion, and I'm going to thump people over the head with the Bible until such time as they realize and see the light. I'm seeing stars on about the light, man.
Okay. Is there going to be a global currency reset? Is it better to have the money in the bank or at home? I think we talked about this before.
Well, I try to keep the money out of the bank because you don't know if it's going to close or when. And it's going to take about 2 weeks for the thing to close up, reconfigure, and open back up again. You got to understand are you in a position where you can make it for 2 weeks without any income? Think about it. You might want to stash some cash in the mattress or something.
Exactly. So, Okay. And will we receive classes in every country that will be done in their own language?
Will we receive what?
Education. These education classes that people will need, they will be available in the language of that country, correct?
Yeah. Well, to an extent now. You got to remember, there are certain aspects of this when you make the transition where you're going to know probably at least 3 languages.
Wow, okay.
You'll know them. And it could apply to what you're coming up to in the future. So take a guess.
I get it. Well, I think we can do 1 or 2 more questions, and then we're going to be out of time here because I think we're coming up on almost.
Do it.
Okay. What was the name of the species that were the first defenders of Earth assigned to protect us, the ones that did not do their job? And who were the ones that were then assigned to be defenders after that? Are they still in charge?
Well, you got to understand that most of the in terms of the defenders, the first ones got wiped out. Totally and completely gone. Okay. The second ones that come up and try to assist found a whole lot of ruins of cities and culture and whatever. And the bad guys were in the process of leaving, so they didn't see these guys coming. These guys coming from a different angle. You got a rock, right? You can come at it this way, this way, this way. You can also come at it so that you can't see it coming from the blind side. Okay. These new defenders were required to chase these guys down and wipe them out, which they did. They chased the pirates down and eliminated them. they had a society that was operable on our planet for a period of about 1,000,000 years. Now that's, and this is before Atlantis ever was, considered, let alone thought of or anything. And it was a beneficiary type or beneficial society. Basically, people went and helped each other. Sometimes straight up trade. It was very equitable on both sides. I need a goat, and I need 10 pounds of beans. Bingo. Think we can work, etc. So the second group of defenders got attacked about the same time that planet Earth was discovered to be the Keystone Planet. Okay, and that's back 13,000, let's see, about 25,000 BC. Then you have, and this is real loose now, then you have the protectors that we have presently, and what they do is they all work together, even though there is a huge diversity of origins. They just they don't worry about that. They worry about the job needing done. And so far, I was privileged to join up with this force. We have eliminated a whole load of problems that were coming that should never have been allowed to exist, and yet it did anyway. Okay, so we wiped out a lot of that.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So everybody's waiting on the transition. Yes, yes.
Okay, here's a good one. How much longer will the United Kingdom or the United States citizens have to pay income tax?
When the GCR takes place, that the only thing that's going to be taxed are commercial entities. In other words, all debt's going to be reset at the same time. So.
Oh, those are the ones that don't pay anything now, right?
Well, those are going to be entities that are going to pay.
Yeah, that'll be a nice turnaround for a change.
Well, the minimum is going to be 10%. I hope they enjoy it.
I do too.
I hope it hurts.
Oh my gosh, some of these questions we've already asked. Let me see what else I got here. Did the USA ever return gold from China to start the financial system in the USA?
No.
Okay.
I've been talking to Neil Keenan, and supposedly we're supposed to be going over and fixing all that pretty soon. We'll see.
Okay. How many co-creators are there in each universe, and do the co-creators work in their own universe, or do they work multi-universally?
One creator per, okay, per universe. Sometimes, depending on the size of the galaxy, we got two creators. One the creator of the galaxy and the other one the creator of the universe that holds it. Universe is sort of a package, basically. Then you have creator prime, which is the creator of all of it.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. And, we have a prime creator.
Well, I haven't been able to get a hold of him yet, so I'm not too sure what, how that's going to work. I will eventually have to talk to him. And I say him not as a gender reference, but as an inclusive.
Thank you for qualifying that.
People assume too much.
Yeah. Is there a limit on how big a replicator can be?
At first there will be, simply because they don't want you replicating tanks. or a nuclear bomb, or if you need a new hammer or a new saw or a part for the car, that's a play toy for the cat is different than a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, definitely. Will there be restaurants after replicators come out?
Yes, they're going to have to be for two reasons. One is that you don't get the same, you're not apt to get the same kind of a flavor without putting a piece of meat over a fire as you would replicating it. Now, it's supposed to be exact. I have been told that people that have a fine palate and really great taste buds can tell the difference. I don't, most average people won't. Some of the things that a replicator is not good at is anything that is fermented. That includes all of our alcohol, sauerkraut, etc. There's a whole bunch of things out there that are fermented that replicator sucks at, just to be straight up about it.
So those kinds of things will still have to be made the way they always work.
And here's the neat part. Our cute little place called Planet Earth is the place in this section of the galaxy that can do this. You want a job? How you feel about working at the sauerkraut factory, man?
No, I grew up in a town that did that, and it doesn't smell nice in the summer.
Well, we can take care of the smell.
Okay. Would you please ask Drake how our physical bodies will change after the transition? Will we have a digestive system, and will we still have to go to the toilet or bathroom or whatever you want to call it?
Most things are not going to change that drastically quite yet. We're going to go from 3 to 4. Now, when you get to 5, that starts to change. By the time you get to 6, it may change drastically further than what you ever thought possible. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, one thing at a time, one transition at a time, right?
Well, they told me I wasn't going to have gas pains, and I'll take their word for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Who is Aton and Haton?
Those are supposed to be the gate twins. The only problem is the names are wrong.
Oh, what are they?
What are they? Oh boy.
I won't make you try to figure that out.
Hold on a minute. I'm thinking here. Let's see if my mind will still work after all these questions. Boaz is one of them, and I can't think of the other one. Anyway, there are 2 pillars. They are gaseous amoebic formations. Boaz. There we go. I knew to remember it. It goes back to the original. Let's see. What was it? Secrets of the Atum, and Atum is somehow related to Ra. So,
okay.
Hey, it gets really interesting when you get into this stuff.
Okay. Okay, you've said before that your Q family were around before the creation. How do you have a home planet if you were here before creation? Did you make your own planet?
Don't have one.
You don't have a planet?
Not in the sense most people consider a planet. It's more or less, let's see here. Let's put it this way. It's our safe place. Oh boy, that ought to do something up.
Okay. You call your fellow Qs your family. Does that mean you have Q parents and maybe brothers and sisters?
Not in a sense that everybody's familiar with, but yes.
Okay. So you have a Q wife and kids?
Well, you got to understand that there's a difference between an energy being and what we consider ourselves to be.
Physical.
They necessarily correlate in terms of reality, okay?
Okay. You said in the not too distant future you could go home to your home planet. You just said you didn't have one. Is that forever or just a vacation? Well, I totally understand you wanting to bug out, and I hate to sound selfish, but we need you here desperately. At least until we're into 5D, Drake. Except for Trump, I have yet to come across a bigger defender of humanity than you, Drake. Thank you. Isn't that sweet?
Oh my goodness, my head's going to be this big around.
Well,
The safe place I mentioned is an actual place. It appears on certain energy detectors as a planet. This is where they get the idea. I will when you start getting done with this stuff. I'm taking a break. I don't know how long it'll be. Don't know the extent it'll go to, but whenever I have been really needed to accomplish something, ET seems to find some kind of a way to get a hold of me. So there it is.
So you're serving an important purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. Will you please elaborate on what the government will look like in the future? Like if there's no Congress, who will make laws as time goes by? And if there's no president, who will enforce laws and represent us on the world stage?
Okay, security. I'm going to use this as a blanket term. Security will enforce the laws and stick you in a hole if you need to be. Okay, generally that hole will be either a tubular conveyance or a square conveyance, one of the two. You will be rehabbed if you need it. Now, the second part of this is very simple. The structures we're familiar with are going to all change dramatically, drastically. Not to your denigration, not to our feeling pain or any of that. In terms of having a government, why have something that is not needed?
Exactly.
Okay, so, it will progress. Expect it to be a good one. Okay?
Yeah, it's hard for people to imagine, partly because we haven't had it.
Yeah.
Will cannabis be decriminalized in time for the money changes?
Will what be cannibalized?
Will cannabis, plant, be decriminalized in time for the money changes?
Yeah. Supposed to be. You might be decriminalized as soon as next month.
Oh, okay, because Trump was involved in that. Somebody asked if that was true. Oh. Is the concept of a multiverse a foam of universal bubbles floating together with each universe containing galaxies accurate?
Multiverse. Each universe has a caretaker or person who makes sure it runs right. I don't know, maintenance man. Okay, and then you have multiverses. There are certain things that override certain portions of an individual universe in terms of taking that individual universe and putting it in perspective. There's a movie called Time Cop. I recommend you see it.
Yeah, I did.
It explains a lot of the things that go on in that. Okay, the balance will be maintained. These people will be taken care of so that is available. And third, they have certain rules and laws that you're not allowed to violate. You have to be approved to travel from universe to universe or time to time and things of that nature. If not, you're not supposed to be allowed to go. However, everybody has always known that human beings are kind of unique in their capacity to be able to improvise and overcome. And I guarantee you there's some crazy-fied people out there. Oh, hey, I'm a time traveler. And I go, you get the hell out of here. What's wrong with you? You're not supposed to be here. Go back to where you're from. A lot of things go on it, Anyway, so there it is.
Okay. What will religion or spirituality look like after the transition?
Like it should have looked in the first place.
Thank you. Is it true that people's homes will be paid off to a certain price? And what about those of us who rent, especially if we had a house and lost it in the bubble pop several years back?
That has yet to be worked out. That's a detail that is not disclosed fully to me. I understand that you can still continue to rent and whatnot, and that will be maybe you could make it like the automatic deductions from your checking account.
Mhm. Like, wouldn't that be a better choice? Like, maybe you don't want a permanent place because you want to move around or something
To an
like that.
extent. Now, eventually, we're going to all have our own place.
That's what
We won't own it, and we won't rent it. We'll just be there. Okay. And it'll be similar to the 25th century Star Trek society that has been mentioned that you can look up on the internet. It's out there.
Okay. What about student loans or credit cards? Will they be paid off, or how will that work?
They'd be done away with.
Good. That's good. Is it true that the secret space program or something similar discovered a planet of humans in another galaxy who were speaking English?
Yes.
Does that mean that we will continue to speak English in the future?
Sure. I don't see why not.
Yeah. But we might have three different languages. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you're going to know 3 of them. And you'll find out what they're good for. You'll find out what they're good for at the time you need them. Okay.
It's kind of like, doesn't President Trump's wife know several languages right out the gate anyway, doesn't she? A lot of people do. But if you learn one.
I don't believe this. I just killed that phone call. These people think they can call anytime they want to.
Okay. Well, I have some more questions, but I think
I think you're right.
We're coming on over 2 hours, so I think we better shut it down, because what happens is it gets to be hard to process the longer it is.
Am I supposed to say bye, everybody?
Until next time, we'll be back next week.
Okay.
With more questions and more answers, and thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for being on my show.
You're welcome for having me. I appreciate it, and maybe we can get some truth out to people.
Yes, that's the plan. Thank you, Gudre. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Gail of Gaia and Free Range need your support. The foundation of any channel engaged in disclosure is the support of the listening audience and the intel it receives. You will not find this kind of information on the lamestream media. We abhor censorship, and sponsors always have an agenda. Your donations, no matter how small, are especially needed and appreciated to keep this going. Gail does not have a car. She gets around on her bicycle to get things done. So, her primary need right now is a car that runs and rolls. Nothing fancy, just basic transportation. Gail makes her living by doing temporary jobs. Whatever jobs she can find that are close enough to get to on her bicycle. Temperatures in Phoenix right now are around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. One of her better paying temp jobs fell through just last week. These are hard times for the host of Free Range. Any donation, no matter how small, will be greatly appreciated and will keep Free Range rolling. Thank you.